I gotta turn my gain down a little bit because I'm coming in fucking hot on this mic.
You could turn the gain down.
That's way too low.
Nope. Nope, Sarah.
Sorry. Sorry.
No.
Just checking audio levels.
I was like, Sarah, think in silence.
Okay, I think we're good. Sorry.
Fucking,
Can I get a fucking,
Stop!
That doesn't do anything. No.
Okay. Are you ready?
Start this shit, Val.
Okay.
Lonnie is drowning in the fountain while the wolves prepare off in the surrounding mountains. And this hum in the air and this death in the room, it will pick us apart if we don't leave here soon. These liars, killers, and evil men have collected the land and are in power again. You can hide under a rock or you can turn yourself in, but they are ruthless, hungry, and in power again.
Hello, gamers, and welcome to the number one leftism podcast of, for, by, and about the terminally online, aka Henry Kissinger is Pokemon going to die. Not a threat.
Just a fact.
Just a fact.
I am Val Flight Cub, aka the Democratic Senator from Montana, Johnny Test.
I'm Zhenya, a.k.a. Senator from Arizona, Kristen Kinema Cinema.
And I'm John, a.k.a. Punished Paul Giamatti.
Punished Paul.
I do have to be real, I don't know what that's a reference to.
You know what?
It's Metal Gear and also Paul Giamatti.
Okay. Mm-hmm. He's the blue man.
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe he was ever blue.
Yeah,
I mean, he could be blue on the inside.
Blue. He was
That
blue
movie.
in Liar Liar, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. He went into a pool that was blue, and then he came out as a man who was blue.
And then the guy showed up in the pickup truck and was like, I picked up a lot. They said something about a blue car, but nothing about a blue man. That was all over the trailers.
He was also in a dumpster for anybody else who's cool enough to get that reference.
When was a Paul Gia baby in a dumpster?
That's a hell of a sentence, Sarah.
I'm sorry. We just did Lady in the Water for fear baiting, so now that's all I can think about.
All right, let's get into the serious news, starting off with Shoe Zone's CEO has resigned. Peter Foot has walked away from the position and will be replaced by Terry Boot. Real life. These are real people. Doug Bowser is the head of Nintendo, and Terry Boot runs the Shoe Zone now that Peter Foot is gone.
God, I really loved Peter Foot in Columboot.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, like, you click on the link, you're on Twitter because you hate yourself, and you look at the thing, and you're like scrolling, and it's like, okay, Shoe Zone has named Terry Boot. What? Oh, this is a joke. This is they think I'm a clown who's gonna laugh, when I'm supposed to. But then you actually look at the article, and it's like, oh, this is real.
Yes.
We just live in clown world.
Yes. The writers are getting lazy, as they say.
So we wish the best to Mr. Boot. Is he the new one? Because Mr. Foot left, and Mr. Boot is now the...
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because
if you think about it, who's more qualified to run a Shoe Zone?
Mr. Foot and Mr. Boot sound like I feel like I'm reading a children's book about like articles of clothing. Mm-hmm. Like it's a book that's supposed to teach you like what goes where. You put Mr. Arm in the Mr. Sleeve, and you put Mr. Foot in the Mr. Boot.
Or a recently discontinued Dr. Seuss book about fetishes.
Topical. That was the hidden seventh Dr. Seuss book that was canceled.
Tucker Carlson just pulling fucking the I got nothing. The fox in the socks, but the foot in the boot. I don't.
Fox in the socks.
The Fox in Socks. That's a Dr. Seuss book, right?
Is it, or is it part of Green Eggs and Ham?
I'm like 90% sure that Fox in Socks is a actual factual book and not just Green Eggs and Ham. But it could be. No, Fox in Socks is a book.
You
it
are
is a
correct.
book.
All right, good.
I love to be right.
So, shall we start with some, news?
Yeah, well, I mean, we just did, but we can continue with some more news.
Some bigger things. One thing I would like to mention, and John, let me know if you have other insights about this. One of the first things that Mr. Bidet-n did with his presidency was sign an executive...
That's my favorite Gundam Zeta character, Mr. Bidet-n.
Mr. Bidet.
That's fine. That's not a joke for y'all. That's a joke for our listeners. Y'all, if y'all don't get that one, that's fine.
I will just keep moving forward. Signed an executive order that did a couple of things, including revoking the Keystone Pipeline permit. So that's you don't have to hand it to him, but
and we will not.
Pretty cool that that's true.
Yeah.
Hopefully the pipes that they've already put in the ground aren't too damaging to the environment around them, because apparently
haven't they already caused like 2 major oil spills in the areas that they promised no oil spills will happen?
Oh yeah, for sure. I do believe so.
I think Cuomo just saying don't do that no more is really just trying to put the genie back in the bottle a little bit with that. Like it's not enough to just say don't. There needs to be more things to happen alongside that. You can't just say no more. They've done harm to the earth and they need to atone for that.
True. But the pipeline, I mean, was it finished?
It was not finished. So,
right.
Nope.
The Obama administration, 1,000 years ago in 2015, rejected the pipeline permit, citing concerns about climate change. And then when the Cheeto was elected, haha, very funny. So the Keystone XL was one of the signature campaign promises, and he allowed it to start happening. But there were court challenges in Montana and Nebraska, and basically, as Val mentioned, there was the 20th, Biden signed an executive order canceling the permit that allowed the pipeline to cross Canada's border with the U.S., citing the climate change crisis as a reason. So of course, this is very much, this is like President Bidet-n's, his sort of like, it's like him sort of connecting the bridge between Obama's administration and his, because obviously as vice president, he was like, one of the people who was involved in the Obama administration. And so he wants to sort of create that continuity within the public eye. I would drink a shot glass full of oil before you could convince me that he did it out of any sort of like a consideration of the many indigenous people who have challenged the Keystone XL pipeline, and And I think what this story serves to prove is that there was already a sort of like nervous tension between the U.S. and Canada, but Justin Trudeau, the very bad, very, very, very bad Prime Minister.
Justin Brownface Trudeau. He
very much took the opportunity after the Keystone XL pipeline was canceled to have a phone call with President Biden. And, that's just very much one of the things that you could feel like, at least, he could pick up the phone and try and get more vaccinations to remote indigenous communities or give remote indigenous communities water. But no, he picks up the phone to call President Bidet-n and asks him, why cancel? Why cancel?
Why no pipeline?
Now, John, I do appreciate you taking these pot shots at President Biden his time. but I have to object to you calling him President Bidet-n, because a bidet, like I don't have a bidet, but like through the combination of a removable shower head with a high water pressure function, I have been living a bidet an approximation of the bidet lifestyle, and bidets clean my butthole better than Joe Biden ever could, and I think we can't be calling him Joe Bidet-n, because we love bidets here.
Sarah, are you saying that every time you poop, you get completely naked and go into the shower and just
Not
spray your
every
butthole?
time,
and
but
then
like 80% of the time, I'd say at this point.
you just butthole first, take a shower.
I mean, I butthole only take a shower.
Do you take your pants and your shoes and socks off, but you're still wearing your shirt and your gamer hat?
I mean, I'll typically take my. I mean, I'll typically just go fucking whole hog, but like I'll just like fucking. Sorry to part the kimono too much. This is definitely getting cut out, but like I'll get naked, fucking wide stance in the shower, spray with one hand, look at Twitter with the other.
Hashtag bidet truth. Oh my god.
If I am ever posting in Discord, in Twitter, on anywhere, you have no way to know whether or not I am currently washing poop off of my hole.
Are you doing it right now? Never mind. That's too private of a question. Never mind.
No, I haven't quite figured out a way to get my audio set up in the bathroom, but rest assured, when I can, I will.
If you ever hear like a shh in the background.
Yeah, this is more troubling than the time I learned that for a very long time, a very famous Twitch streamer, Germa, would bring his whole ass computer tower into the bathroom with him. Which is something I learned this week, and now I've learned something even worse. This.
I'm sorry that I'm no longer contented to live with you plebeians with your just fucking wiping shit around my hole with my paper. I'm sorry that I'm actually actively washing my hole instead of just smearing dookie around it.
I'm sorry that you don't get to feel the satisfaction of accomplishment of doing it yourself.
I am doing it myself, just with a hose.
Here's my problem, and listeners, I swear I did not prompt this. This was not something I wanted to bring up and for us to land on for a little bit. But we're here now, and we just have to go through it. I'm going to call out your intellectual dishonesty, Sarah, because you said that your high pressure removable shower head was better than President Biden, and you don't know that unless.
Oh, I have to go.
You have to issue a challenge.
Bye.
Oh, do you already know?
I cannot believe that it's 15 minutes. It's not even 15 minutes into this podcast, and already it's being insinuated that I let Biden lick shit off of my hole.
You wouldn't at least consider
I was just
it?
thinking he was wiping with paper, but I guess, yeah, that would be more analogous, as if there's water involved of some kind.
just Biden spitting at it from 10 feet away.
What if there was a new invention called the human centipede bidet, where people line up...
Human centipede.
Yes, and if you poop, the person behind you pees on your butthole to clean it off. And so on down the line.
Podcast.
Every day we move further away from God.
Oh, God.
And that has been Shitpost Corner. All right.
Thank you.
So we fuck Joe Biden. All my homies hate Joe Biden. So he did. I'm not going to give him any credit on this, but what else has he been up to in this last month or so since we have convened that have been really just living up to his campaign promises and everything?
No more kids in cages. Oh wait, just kidding. There's a new detention center that got built.
Well, that actually, Val, you should check your notes. I believe that's actually a child holding facility.
Oh,
and
excuse me.
they when they spell child, when they write that out, they put little hearts over the eyes instead of dots, and that's how you know that it's good. Actually,
They're not separating. They're not separating women from their children. They're separating women with an X from their children.
Man.
Joe Biden says no more separation of women and children, only separation of womb-bin and children.
Another fun fact is diversity visa recipients or applicants who were denied them because of the Muslim ban by Trump are still being denied them from Bidet-n.
We've got our $1,400 checks going to people.
You gotta hand it to them.
The funny
$1,400.
It was so funny to just watch them work. I'm sorry, I don't want to take away from the extremely abhorrent stuff and just like look at the rest of the Democratic Party failings, because we love to talk about the Democratic Party failings. But like, it was really awesome to just watch the Democrats talk themselves down from just fucking haggle with themselves and then get zero, not a single Republican vote converted off of
we can get into it.
The fucking the $70,000 a year cutoff, which is like, that's the soft cutoff, and I think it's a hard cutoff at like 85 or something. I read those numbers about a week ago, so forgive me if they're not perfectly accurate. That really fucked me up when I learned that the average salary of a nurse in 2019, which, again, reminder, that's what they're basing your eligibility off of. The average income of a nurse was about $72,000 in 2019 in the States.
Incredible. Great. Cool.
And also just hoping that none of those nurses are, hoping that no one eligible. God, just the 2019, based on 2019 is just never not going to be funny. And by funny, I mean horribly depressing and painful. It's
so wrong. It's not like what do you need? It's what do you deserve? Like, what have you earned in the past?
The thing that's great is that like I can just invent so many hypothetical people that are just absolutely getting fucked like this. I don't know, imagine someone who moved out of their parents' house in November and they were living with their parents for most of the year, so they were claimed as a dependent, but they're on their own now. In November of 2019. They moved out. 5 months later, we get pandemic. They lost their job. They were just making it week to week with the pittance of unemployment. And then they're like, okay, stimulus time, and then it doesn't come to them because their parents were they lived with their parents over a year ago.
Yeah. Or somebody that owns a restaurant that had to close in 2020 but was fine in 2019. Or
someone who made like I don't know, like someone who made like $90,000 a year at their cushy, not even cushy, like someone who made like $90,000 a year at their like fucking, I don't know, just any kind of job, and then lost that or had a hit to their income, that their cost of living really like it's just, there's so many people you can invent that just get immediately like, and just the Democrats just worked so hard to expand that circle of people who would get incidentally fucked over by this. Like, the fact it is truly just blowing my goddamn mind that the Democrat stimulus package is less generous with the stipulations and stuff than the Trump one was.
Yeah. You'd think it would be a slam dunk. But let's talk about it, because this is what I was reading about and just fucking increasing my blood pressure about earlier this week. So basically, the story of the 1.9 trillion budget, blah, 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 blah.
That they passed, I think it passed it passed the House. I don't remember if it passed the Senate,
they did. It did pass in the House and the Senate, yes.
Good for us.
But the thing is, after it passed in the House, it passed in the Senate with a 50-50 vote. So, like, 50 Republicans, aka 100% of them, said, fuck no. And 100% of Democrats said yes, and then Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote. But because the margin was razor thin and none of the, like, Democrats that wanted to pass this could not lose even a single moderate Democrat who might sometimes vote with Republicans. Moderate Democrats, like Joe Manchin, decided to use this as an opportunity to flex their little political muscles and say, you know what? We're in charge now. So instead of having to kowtow to the Republicans all the fucking time and just like cut back everything that we want, instead it's for people like Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin and John Tester, who's a fucking fake guy.
John Tester is like that's the name of like. If you found a way into the beta servers for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, the next expansion, there will be a guy named John Tester among the like player characters in there.
Yeah, exactly. They look like the Wii Fit trainer with no face and no clothes. Yeah. So the thing that annoys me is a lot of things, but one thing that stuck out to me was I was talking about this with my dad, who's like a Democrat but not like fucking leftist commie. So he was like, well, we have to be reasonable, blah blah blah. Like Kirsten Sinema is trying to hold on to a Democratic seat in Arizona, but Mark Kelly, the other Democrat senator in Arizona, did not vote against the $15 an hour amendment that they needed to overrule the Parliamentarian for. So what the fuck?
The Parliamentarian is just the Democrats saying, "Oh, we have to pay utmost respect to this thing that literally." If you would ask me a week ago if the word parliamentarian had any place in the UN, I would not have guessed that was a United States terminology.
Right?
Like, I mean,
you'd think it's like an old wizard from the UK House of Commons or whatever the fuck.
Right, and by old wizard, you're referring, of course, to the actual title of some parliamentarian. Because
right.
The UK loves to... Mm-hmm. Listen, I know every country has their fucking artifice of... every country has their pomp and circumstance, but the UK's like special parliamentary mace is very funny.
And their little wigs and stuff that judges have to wear.
Yep.
So to lay this out so that like people who have maybe read about this through osmosis or whatever don't know about it, the stimulus bill is part of a budget reconciliation bill, and there is this little wizard that lives in the corner of the Senate who does math about like whether things are like within the rules of what you're allowed to put in certain bills, what you're allowed to do. So this person is unelected and works for, decades, several terms, so that they're impartial.
Famously impartial lifetimes appointments.
Right. If you have one job, you don't have to have opinions about it. So
that's correct.
So the Parliamentarian decided that because this bill only needed a 1 vote margin instead of a 10 vote margin, they couldn't put the $15 an hour wage increase that would be spread out over 5 years. People keep talking about it like it's going to just immediately double. It's not even going to, but that couldn't be in the bill. You can't put that amendment in. that has to be its own separate bill. And so, I mean, immediately, of course, the Biden administration is like, well, oops, sorry, they said it, not me. So, we love 15, but we'll keep fighting for it. But nope, we can't do that. Except the parliamentarians have been overruled before. And this parliamentarian who's in office now has already been overruled twice, once by Democrats and once by Republicans. So it's not impossible. So that was what the little quirky thumbs down vote was Kirsten Sinema voting against overruling the parliamentarian to include that amendment.
You know that video of like the guys, I think they're like park rangers or something, and there's like 2 guys like dancing, and they're like youngish guys, they're like 20 something, and then they like get this other guy who's like 40 or 50 or something, and he's like they have him come on screen, and he dances, he like at the end he like drops it down.
Oh yes,
that's the motion that she did.
Yes. Exactly. I actually went on C-SPAN to be like thorough about this because I read that like senators will give a thumbs up or thumbs down or like a finger up or a finger down to vote, especially now with like people wearing masks a lot. But I watched a couple of them do it. They like get the attention of the person collecting the vote and like show their finger. She like did a little like hop with it and then like Orange Julius'd away.
The next level up would have just for her to just do like a fucking slut drop like Jim Carrey Sonic movie.
Exactly. Very disrespectful.
Very, very disrespecting.
Did not like it. Do not like it. Apparently polling shows that the stimulus bill is like pretty well universally liked. So even like 45% of Republican voters think it's good. So I don't understand why we didn't get like one Mitt Romney vote or like something, like we didn't get any of the Republicans on this. Not even a little.
Yeah, we're just fucking throwing the Democrats just love to throw out more and more things just to hope that maybe someone will look at it and give like a soundbite to a news station, be like, well, I'm considering it. I'm really rotating it in my head before I decide yes or no on whether to vote for these poors to be able to survive. I need to have a little bit of a think about it, and then CNN to run that coverage, and they'll be like, did we finally get one? And
No, sort of.
So I did a little bit of research as well. So Elizabeth McDonough, she is the parliamentarian.
It's pronounced McGonawarren, Warren, actually.
Stop.
Go to jail.
I'm sorry.
Go to baby jail, please. No,
I need to go.
So it says here, on February 2021, she ruled against the $15 minimum wage provision in President Biden's proposed COVID-19 relief package being included per the Byrd rule. And your talk about like how they indicate like yay or nay, like of like provisions, like makes me think that like she really did just flip every American the bird by trying to by ruling against the $15 minimum wage provision.
And
but
aside from she did it in like the quirkiest way possible. Like that's fucking like that's like when it was like when you're fucking calling attendance in class and someone says present instead of here.
You know, like I did. Yes. You know,
so I'm also calling myself out, John. Don't worry. I also said present.
Yeah, I mean, the Parliamentarian said this amendment has been rejected due to the misspelling of the word bird.
Yeah, BYRD. But I looked up what the Byrd rule was, and it's named after Robert Byrd. It was adopted in 1985 and amended in 1990. So you know, this is a very Reagan era kind of bullshit play. So. Extraneous provisions can be rejected on the basis of 6 cases. It does not produce a change in outlays or revenues. If it produces an outlay increase or revenue decrease when the instructed committee is not in compliance with its instructions. If it is outside the jurisdiction of the committee that submitted the title, if it produces a change to outlays or revenues, which is merely incidental to the non-budgetary components of the provision, if it would increase the deficit for a fiscal year beyond those covered by the reconciliation measure, usually a period of 10 years, or if it recommends changes in Social Security. And now looking at all of those things, you know, I'm thinking, you know, you could probably argue maybe that if it changes some of the deficit for a fiscal year beyond the recovered reconciliation measures, like. But
honestly, I don't even want to fucking play ball with it. Like when the deficit is brought up, I just fucking turn my brain off. Like. I know this is just like exactly what some fucking right wing says about the left, but like the deficit just doesn't fucking matter.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
It's just like
people are dying.
It's just such Calvin ball. It's just adherence to this fucking like, and I know this entire fucking society, this entire fucking country is just built on adherence to shit that doesn't matter or make sense anymore because like we're just a fucking I don't necessarily agree with the argument that it presents, but like I'm never not thinking about the statement of the people who said that we have a right to bear arms wrote that law when it took 5 minutes to reload a gun for a second shot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I believe Lindsey Graham submitted the
Lindsey Ham
submitted
Lindsey Sham. Yeah.
Lindsey Sham. There we go.
Lindsey fucking Sham. The reason that he submitted was to reject the amendment was because the benefits would be incidental to the point of the bill. So.
Because in a bill about stimulation, there's nothing about a minimum wage increase that would be considered relevant.
This is our bill about giving money to the people who need it the most, not about increasing minimum wage. They're totally unrelated. Also,
I hate this country.
C-SPAN said that this was the longest Senate vote ever. 11 hours and 50 minutes. In order to negotiate, Chuck Schumer left the vote open for 11 hours and 50 minutes in order to negotiate with Senator Joe Manchin. Fucking thanks, Joe. Way to be a team player, dude.
Yeah, and for what? For to remind everybody at home that business will continue on as usual, no matter if the flag is red or fucking blue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As if we needed any indication. At a point in which like you would need to flex is definitely the moment where people are dying. 500,000 plus people are dead, and now is the time to say, well, you can't always get what you want.
No, we have to compromise with someone,
even if that person doesn't exist.
It's so frustrating too, because like the moderate Democrats have this power because they're the rightmost people that the progressives and regular, I guess, Democrats need, like, to get this bill passed. And the super left-wing part of the party can't pull this same move and like pull this bill more left, because it matters to progressives that we get stimulus and we get economic support, and it doesn't fucking matter to moderate Democrats. They're like, let people die. I don't care. It's this. It's like giving me flashbacks to when Biden won the primary because Bernie dropped out so that people wouldn't have to get sick going and voting for him. And Biden was like, no, fuck everybody. Like, vote for me, fam.
Yeah. There's nothing to be said except fuck them all.
Fuck B2 Biden. I'm buying a new house with my stimulus check.
Let's go.
A $1,400 house. It's a doghouse.
Let's freaking go. We love dogs here, don't we?
Fuck yeah. We like stems. We like seeds, where I come from.
No comment.
Okay, so I've got two New York stories here.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Okay, I've got three New York stories here.
One's New York parentheses state. One is like zooming in on Rochester specifically. I guess this one's more of an update to the Daniel Prude stuff from last summer here in Rochester.
Right.
Okay.
For those who don't remember, this past summer in Rochester, it came to light that back in March, the Rochester Police Department had killed an unarmed man named Daniel Prude, who was in the middle of a mental break somehow of some variety, by putting a spit hood over his head and suffocating him. When this all came out, there was a big outcry because our mayor, Lovely Warren, was accused of covering it up.
By the way, I can't believe that's her name. I'm sorry. Anyway, continue.
I know. We love it. But we've got this. This is from the. I'm just going to read the whole statement, or at least this whole clip of this statement that I have here. Statement from Special Counsel Investigator Andrew G. Sorry, it's covered up by something that someone posted. Andrew G. Selly. On September 16th, 2020, the Rochester City Council, by ordinance number whatever, appointed our law firm, Emery, Selly, Brinkerhoff, Abity, Ward, and Maisel, ECBAWM. You got too many partners at your law firm. I'm sorry. You got to demote one of them. To serve as special counsel investigator, or quote independent investigator, to investigate the city's response to the arrest and death of Daniel Prude. Today we release our final report of the investigation. The report, along with certain supporting documentation, can be found on a dedicated website, rochesterinvestigation.com. The report reflects 6 months worth of work by ECBAWM lawyers and staff. It is over 50 pages in length and contains dozens of factual findings as well as an analysis of the facts as found. No brief public statement can summarize those findings. That analysis of the report as a whole, I urge any interested person to take the time to read the report in full. However, this is a podcast, so we're going to give you the Cliff's Notes, what we have here. Mm-hmm. That said, when our firm was appointed, we committed that our work would answer the fundamental question that many people in the Rochester community were urgently asking, and that many continue to demand an answer to today. Did officials of city government suppress information about the arrest and death of Daniel Prude between March 23rd, 2020, when the arrest occurred, and September 2nd, 2020, when the Prude family publicly released body-worn camera footage of the incident? The straightforward answer is yes. The investigation revealed no explanation that fully accounts for the more than 4-month delay between the death of an unarmed man at the hands of Rochester police and public disclosure of the facts and circumstances under which the death occurred, other than a decision or series of decisions not to make such disclosure. Basically, yes.
Wow.
Mayor Lovely Warren covered it up. And she's probably very thankful right now that the big New York man is under a lot of heat, because it's meaning that any New York politics talk is completely at a higher level than the fact that she has just completely fucked over Daniel Prude's entire family and situation, and just is a completely incompetent mayor.
Absolutely
and
disgusting.
I'm really mad about it.
Yeah.
Like I went to a couple of things around the Daniel Prude stuff, and I'm just like I know all politicians are lying, but like, I don't know.
This is TV show villain type shit that you think, okay, like, they can't be doing that.
Yeah,
they are.
And this is also like the Rochester Police Department is like under some serious shit right now. Like, they shot a man to death outside of they shot a man wielding a knife to death a couple days ago, and that's a couple. And that's a couple of days after they pepper sprayed a woman holding her infant daughter because the cops suspected her of stealing things from like Dollar General.
Oh my God! Who cares? Let her.
Police Department. Yeah, A, she didn't. B, if she did, go off.
Like, give her more stuff.
Yeah, honestly. So that's the Rochester snapshot. So now let's zoom out a little bit to look at the big man on campus, Mr. Andy Cuomo himself, the sexy Mr. COVID man.
Cuomo-sexuals in the chat, rise up, make some noise.
Anyone who's been paying attention to Cuomo knows that his response to all of that, his response to pandemic has just been a fucking nightmare. He has been responsible for the deaths of even if we
he didn't
setting aside the rest of the state, if everyone else except Cuomo killed so many fucking prisoners, so many people in old folks home, if literally every other person except those people had survived COVID in New York State, Cuomo would still have an unbelievable amount of blood on his hand. Mm-hmm. But the extent to which he completely fucked over the state of New York and then just got to fucking reap the benefits by being the nice man on television to play good cop to Trump's bad cop.
That's literally all it is he jumped on it first.
He won an Emmy!
He what?
Okay, yeah, I've got a timeline here from Gothamist.com's timeline of Cuomo's events, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but we've got a couple here. So on April 3rd, 2020, Cuomo signed the state budget, including a controversial provision that shields nursing homes and hospitals from liability for COVID-19 deaths. The budget also granted Cuomo sweeping new emergency powers that allow him to essentially write new laws. And then on April 17th, the state released partial data of where COVID-19 nursing homes occurred, accounting for about 2.7K deaths. On May 10th, 2020, Cuomo, this is now 2 whole months into the pandemic, Cuomo rescinded the order that required nursing homes to accept COVID-19 positive patients.
Well, he wasn't saying they could reject them. He just wasn't forcing them to accept them. He was just allowing them to reject.
No. Back on March 25th, the state health department ordered nursing homes to accept recovering COVID-19 patients from hospitals to free up the hospital capacity.
Cool.
Yeah. Later that May, AP reported that 4,500 COVID-19 patients were sent to nursing homes after the March 25th order. In July, the state lawmakers repealed some of the immunity provisions shielding the hospitals and nursing homes from COVID liability, but not a full repeal. So families losing loved ones to COVID during the height of the pandemic cannot sue those institutions. Ugh. Yeah. August 3rd, New York State Legislature holds a hearing about nursing homes and state oversight, praising state officials for the number of New Yorkers who lived in nursing homes but died of COVID in hospitals. Also on this day, the Empire Center for Public Policy files a Freedom of Information request for deaths of nursing home residents. Mm-hmm. And then, 2 weeks later, on August 18th, Cuomo announces that his book deal is official.
Yay!
Cuomo, that book deal that Cuomo
American Crisis Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic, which he finalized the book deal in August and released in October, about 7 months after the pandemic began.
And it hasn't ended
when we were still
yet.
In the midst of it.
Now I don't know about everybody else at home. I may just be another special snowflake SJW leftist, but circa July 10th, 2020, I was still coming to grips with the fact that I would never take public transit again, that I would never work outside of my home again. I fell into a depression. I stopped regularly showering. I stopped regularly eating, and my life was falling apart. But I'm glad that somewhere out there in the world, while people were literally dying in the street, that Cuomo went on the radio and talked about considering writing a book about the lessons that he learned during the pandemic. I'm glad that by July 10th, 2020, that he had already learned enough to consider writing a book.
In the 4 months from start of pandemic to July 10th, he learned everything. He's got it. It's all dialed in.
While we were all failing and falling apart mentally, Cuomo had all the answers.
Cuomo just the if you open that book, the contents of it, I'm sure, are just, so what you're gonna want to do is you're just gonna want to kill as many old people as you possibly can.
Just
go out there, find little Jimmies and Johnnies and little Sallys, and ask them, who are your grandparents, and then you find your grandparents, you put a hole in their head, and that's really the best way to get through this pandemic.
Cuomo has a book for the same reason that fucking the kid that died and went to heaven and came back has a book.
Because he lied?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Cuomo lied and people died.
He got his moment in the spotlight and was like, fuck yeah, time to monetize this. Okay, and then continued to fuck up.
So, August 18th, he announces the book deal official. 2 days later, on the 20th, the state legislature sends a letter to Cuomo's office requesting full data on nursing home deaths, among other information regarding nursing homes.
And he says, wait till the book comes out.
Then 6 days later, the U.S. Justice Department requests that same data from New York and a couple other Democrat-led states to determine whether the March 25th order contributed to more nursing home deaths and if an investigation was warranted. Mm-hmm. According to the state's then deflated count, 6,600 people had died in nursing facilities. But that did not include nursing home residents who died in hospitals still at that point. Then on the 18th of September, the Empire Center for Public Policy sues Cuomo for nursing home records after their Freedom of Information request was declined. And then, on October 13th, Cuomo's book, American Crisis Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic, is released. And then a month later, on November 23rd, he wins an Emmy for his pandemic briefings.
And when does the information come out? Has that happened yet?
We're getting there. So December 13th, 2020 is the first time that Cuomo was publicly accused of sexual harassment by this one, Lindsey Boyland, a former aide to Cuomo she was a former aide to Cuomo running for the president of the Manhattan Borough, and she tweeted about being sexually harassed by Cuomo, but was not giving further interviews. Then we jump forward to the end of January, the 28th of January this year. The State Attorney General, Letitia James, released a report on COVID-19 in nursing homes, confirming that the state was not counting deaths that occurred in hospitals as nursing home deaths. So basically, if someone got COVID in a nursing home and then got shipped off to a hospital where they did not make it because they caught COVID and they were old enough to be in a nursing home, that was counted as a hospital death, not a nursing home death. Within several hours of the publication of her report, the state health department released a new count of nursing home deaths that included 3,829 people who died in hospitals, which the state had not previously been reporting.
So more than half the previous number.
Well, not more than half again. Because the previous number was like 9,000 at that point, I think. Okay. By it's okay. The last number that I gave you was 6,600, which was the August numbers, but this is 4 months later, so. Mm-hmm. So the fact that the state health department released that within like hours means that they just had that data on hand. Like I don't know what their kind of data gathering looks like, but I would imagine that they can't just like grab the number 3,829 people who were in nursing homes and then died in hospitals. I can't imagine that number was like a particularly simple one to find. So it had to be one that they were tracking. They were aware of this. Mm-hmm. This brought the total of the nursing home COVID-19 deaths to 12,743 people.
Horrific.
On February 3rd, the state Supreme Court Judge Kimberly O'Connor ordered the state to release nursing home records requested by the Empire Center for Public Policy. And then on February 6th, the state releases more data on deaths in long-term care facilities to the Empire Center for Public Policy, revealing another 1,500 previously uncounted deaths of residents of assisted living facilities and other adult care facilities who died in hospitals.
God.
This brought long-term care facility death totals to more than 15,000.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Then on February 11th, the AP reported that 9,000 COVID-19 positive patients were sent into nursing homes at the height of the pandemic, greater than earlier figures released by the state. New York Post reports on the private call with lawmakers and Cuomo's aides and quotes Assemblymember Ron Kim. Later that night, Ron Kim said that he received a threatening phone call from the governor's office demanding that he retract this statement. On February 17th of this year, Cuomo lashed out at Assemblymember Kim for more than 20 minutes during one of his press briefings. Kim later told Gothamist and other news outlets about the threatening phone call that he received from the governor. And then his account launched a torrent of stories on social media and in news reports from New Yorkers who said they received similar bullying phone calls from Cuomo and his top aides.
Jeez.
Then on February 24th, this is the other thing that Cuomo is fucking in the shitter for. Lindsay Boylan, who I mentioned as tweeting about the sexual harassment that she experienced from Cuomo a little bit ago, she published a Medium post describing the inappropriate sexual advances that Cuomo had made to her between 2015 and 2018. I'm not going to get into the details because it's fucking gross, but it's like it's not good. Then 3 days later, a second former aide to Cuomo, Charlotte Bennett, comes forward with similar allegations that similar comments and advances were made by Cuomo towards her. People are calling for an investigation into sexual harassment in his office, and he tries to select a longtime ally of his, Barbara Jones, the federal judge, to lead the investigation. Sorry, I'm very close. There's just a lot that's happened in these last couple of days.
Yeah.
So in that time between February 27th and now March 12th, that day of recording, we have had, I believe, 5 or 6 additional women come out.
Wow.
March 3rd of this year was 7 days after he stopped doing press briefings for 7 days around this shit as more and more people came out. March 1st was the third person who came out. March 3rd, he hadn't done a briefing or appeared in public for 7 days. He showed up again to say, I'm sorry to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I'm really sorry that I did this, but also I didn't do this. And
perfect.
It's great. On March 6th, two more former Cuomo staffers came forward, and then the next day, the 7th, a bunch of Democrats in the state had begun calling for his resignation. This includes up to today, which has been a couple of hours ago. Senators Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand have even called on him to resign at this point.
Wow.
Which is great. And it's now being I just refreshed CNN to see if there was a bigger story if there was anything to update. And CNN has now pushed Schumer and Gillibrand calling on Cuomo to resign. And now the headline story is pro-Trump organizer alleges Alex Jones threatened her, which is like, that's not good, but like, that's not like pushing the fucking... That's not pushing the Schumer-Gillibrand thing.
Alex Jones is barely in control of his own goddamn life. Can we talk about the person who has had 3 terms as the governor of New York being completely exposed and being shown as being a complete sham and a complete shit show of a person and a politician?
Yeah. Well, 24-hour news cycle, baby. Got to keep that fresh. What do you think is going to happen with Cuomo? Do you think he'll get kicked out? I hope so.
I think at this point he's like I think like the walls are closing in on him. I think like honestly between the time of us recording this and the time the episode goes out, he may have already resigned, which is
yes.
That would be pretty nice if that happened. I don't know who's next in line after him, but usually I would like to see the awful man get out of here, and then we can actually have a fucking primary challenger.
Usually, pieces of shit wait until they've already been taken out of office before they write their book. But Cuomo, he's a real go-getter in that regard.
Yeah,
I think that it's like indicative of Cuomo, that the entire Cuomo dynasty, both him and was it his dad that was also governor / mayor,
and his brother who's like an anchor on fucking CNN.
Something.
Yeah, it's just it's just fuck them. Just go to hell. Like the nursing home stuff alone was just, Jesus Christ.
It's despicable. And then to make your name as the guy who did everything right, who was, the real leader of America while we had a Republican president. It's just horrible. People liked him because he was on TV.
Yeah, and there's an update from the Gothamist as well about Cuomo, sort of like, he's defiant and blah, 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 But the idea that New Yorkers were getting phone calls from staffers, that's so bizarre to me. I would want to know more about that, too.
I'm sorry, about what?
About the New Yorkers who were getting angry phone calls from his office. Like,
oh yeah, like
what?
Just,
what the hell is that about?
It's just classic bully behavior. Like,
it's mob shit.
Cuomo has been described regularly as a bully, and this is like, it's not surprising, but to just like fucking, I don't know.
You know, like, like this is the same shit that like I don't know what it is about people in fucking New York. It's like when Rudy Giuliani was mayor, he would like go on the radio and just like talk shit with people and just fucking be a bully, you know? Yeah. But like, of course, everybody would criticize Rudy Giuliani for doing that shit. But like, will the same Democrats who want to fucking, you know, stomp their feet and say, I don't think we should cede any ground, blah, blah, blah. Are they going to criticize Cuomo? I don't think so.
I'd hope so, but yeah, I don't know. I'd really love to see Cuomo just fucking vanish.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of dudes who suck resigning, Piers Morgan, only
more like Piers Morgan,
more like
makes me want to fall
Piers
asleep.
Snorgan.
There we go.
Yeah, not only walked off set because he was being criticized by a fellow anchor on Good Morning Britain, he's now never coming back. He's just gone. Meghan Markle got too much attention, and now he just wants to curl up in a ball and die. Nobody talked to him. Oprah interviewed Meghan Markle. Don't text.
Yeah.
Good fucking riddance.
Yeah. Absolutely huge piece of shit. Fuck off. Never come back. And you know what? It's been a long time coming for someone like Piers Morgan. You know, Piers Morgan was the editor of the Daily Mirror during the phone hacking scandal, and just what an absolute piece of shit. You know, like one of my favorite. Here's a classic example of Piers Morgan bullshit. In the wake of the Abu Ghraib torture scandal, Morgan was sacked as editor of the Daily Mirror with immediate effect on 14th of May 2004. After refusing to apologize to Sly Bailey, the then head of Trinity Mirror, for authorizing the newspaper's publication of photographs which had been shown to be false. These were alleged to show Iraqi prisoners being abused by British Army soldiers from the Queen's Lancashire Regiment. When within days the photographs were shown to be crude fakes, under the headline "Sorry, we were hoaxed," the Mirror responded that it had fallen victim to a calculated malicious hoax and apologized for the publication of the photographs. However, Morgan had refused to admit that the photographs were faked and has stated that the abuse shown in the photographs is similar to the sort of abuse which was happening in the British Army in Iraq at the time. So, the idea of Piers Morgan as one of those people who's just like, oh, everyone needs to get off. Everybody needs to stop taking it so seriously. Everyone needs to leave me alone. Let me do my thing. Fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, like for a very long time, this guy has just been nothing but an absolute piece of shit. And I'm glad that finally one of these days, the only thing that I regret was that when he walked off the stage, that there wasn't a cliff waiting for him. Fuck that guy.
Get his ass.
Yeah. Or a banana peel at the very least.
Yeah, please.
Something.
Jumping back to Cuomo real quick, because I just wanted to talk about one thing that I forgot to talk about that was not included in the Gothamist piece, because it literally happened earlier today. Cuomo tried to say that he was being a victim of cancel culture.
I mean,
what is
cause for resignation if not cancel culture?
Yeah. Here's a great quote from Mr. Cuomo. Politicians who don't know a single fact but yet form a conclusion and an opinion are, in my opinion, reckless and dangerous, Cuomo said. The people in New York should not have confidence in a politician who takes a position without knowing any facts or substance. That, my friend, is politics at its worst.
But you should buy my book.
What a
loser.
I've been canceled, Jerry.
Canceled?
John, did you have something that you wanted to bring today too? I remember you said you had something, but I can't remember what it was off the dome.
Yeah, sure. So, as you all know, we live in a vast hellscape, but and that there are people out there who just want to make some money, and they don't want to have fucking Indians running around and trying to stop them from making so much money on the continued death and destruction of our planet. And we got some. I have some stories here. I have two really. One is an update on the Mackenzie Meadows 1492 Lamback Lane occupation. Mm-hmm. The occupation is still going strong, and there are still people who are, who were preparing very much for an extended winter, and they got through it, and there's still people who are on that campsite and who are in that location, but apparently the harassment has still not stopped. In mid-February, a woman who was involved in the protests and who was involved with the camp was arrested by the police, and she has been held. I believe she's still being held. I don't believe she's been released quite yet, but the police are still harassing land defenders at Six Nations of the Grand River. And what had come out recently was let me just bring it up here. So in BC, there is a contingent of very cool, very awesome people called the Braided Warriors. They are actually a collective of youth who, people who are from the community, who are generally under 30, some of them even in their late teens.
Wow.
The Braided Warriors are a indigenous youth group who basically were protesting outside of various law offices and affiliate insurance companies related to the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Mm-hmm. I have an article here. An indigenous youth group is hoping that the United Nations will step in and help them seek justice after they claim that they were brutalized by Vancouver Police Department officers who broke up what they say was a peaceful protest last week. The youth group, known as the Braided Warriors, had been out protesting the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion at affiliated insurance companies throughout the week in downtown Vancouver, calling on them to drop the project. While earlier demonstrations ended peacefully, the group's third protest at AIG Insurance's office at 595 Burrard Street on Friday, that's February 19th, turned ugly when VPD officers arrived and violently dispersed the crowd. A video circulating on social media shows scenes of a police officer grabbing the hair of a protester and others being thrown to the ground, and has been sent to the VPD's professional standards section for review. But the Braid Warriors want more action to be taken. According to the Braid Warriors, youth were violently thrown to the ground, dragged across floors and down stairways, pulled by their hair and braid, thrown to surfaces covered in glass, strangled in a chokehold, and dragged face down in concrete.
Jesus.
On Monday, May 1st, the youth group returned to the site of the protest to film testimonials of their experiences with the VPD to be submitted to the UN Human Rights Council Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination and to the international human rights community. Dressed in traditional regalia, the youth gathered peacefully at the front of the BMO building once more, singing and smudging Temeth or Earth on one or another for protection. So, yeah, very beautiful, a very just a solid show of solidarity there from the from the VPD officers there with these indigenous youth, and to really put this all into perspective, this is par for the course. Police are often encouraged and very much given permission to target women and youth and elders when dispersing and when dealing with these actions, like whether they be protests or land defending actions or occupations. They want to target women, youth, and elders because those people are usually the backbone of those movements. And so to have these youth brutalized in the middle of downtown Vancouver is exactly the kind of thing that we would expect. And, this is all over a pipeline that, has been since 2014 been fought over and has been challenged many times. And at this point, it really kind of just feels like, at any point, the governments of Alberta or British Columbia, the two provinces which the pipeline is going between, or Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, could at any point say, it's not even worth it. It's not worth our time. We give up because we obviously do not have all of the means to support and create and give credence to this project. So it's not even worth it. But of course, everybody is just doubling down. Everybody is just sort of shrugging, and the comment sections of CBC News articles continue to be full of white people who say, well, these people, they just, we cannot live our lives by the whims of these people. It continues to persist that Indigenous people are ignored, and when we seek to raise our voice and to bring attention to these issues, we are met with swift and decisive violence.
Wow.
So yeah, big fuck you to the VPD, which, don't fucking respect cops anyway, but a special fuck you to the VPD.
I wish all VPD a very pleasant die.
Exactly. And so the Braided Warriors have a presence on Twitter and social media. We can post links to their socials in the description of this podcast in the show notes.
Sure.
But yeah, they're taking monetary donations. Both the 1492 Land Back Lane camp and the Braided Warriors are taking donations for support, not only for the people who are involved, but also for bail funds and legal fees.
All right.
I got one quick shout out before we head to Lightbringers.
Okay, I have a shout out as well. Yeah.
My shout out is just the Miami Heat center Myers Leonard saying the famous just saying a really great anti-Semitic slur on his live stream.
The
just
big one, right?
Yeah, the big one. In very much in the same way of PewDiePie's heated gaming moment, where it was like he just grabbed that word with such readiness that that's just in his daily vocabulary.
Yeah.
The aftermath. Unfortunately, he's only been suspended for like a week and a $50,000 fine, which to like a NBA player is probably not that much. I mean, he's probably not happy about having to sit for a week, but like that's it.
Yeah.
Anyways, it did lead to one of the funniest graphics I've ever seen in my life, which is, and I'm going to describe this to the audience. And I'm sending this in podcast chat, but I'm going to describe it to the audience who's listening and can't see it, because what is happening here is there is a man who kind of looks like Milo Yiannopoulos a little bit, like like 2017 era Milo Yiannopoulos. He's got like some fucking visor sunglasses on. He's wearing a Call of Duty Black Ops 4 branded headset. There's a big and there's right next to his face, it says the words, "I am deeply sorry for using an anti-Semitic slur during this live stream yesterday."
Oh my god.
And he's also like you mentioned that he's got like these like gamer goggles on. There for anyone who's familiar with the professional wrestling, he like his glasses have like Bret Hart style mirror reflections.
Yes!
And they're pink tinted. So like he's just looking very serious, but you can't see his pupils. You just see this man who looks like who's just looking very seriously at his very serious, very important video game, and then just like that, just the most bullshit quote right next to his head. I love it.
His glasses look like gamer goggles and wraparound sunglasses had a baby, and so does he.
I just need to share this from a friend of the pod, Stephanie. I think we have the title for the episode off of this too, because it's Miami Heated Gamer Moment.
Very good. Fuck yeah.
So yeah, that's my shout out. Fuck you, Leonard.
Another shout out to sports, college. He was in the NBA, not college sports. But Michigan State announced that they've changed their basketball team name to the MSU Spartans presented by Rocket Mortgage. Because you can sell anything these days.
You can put a fucked up sponsor anywhere.
MSU Spartans presented by Rocket Mortgage, starring Tyler Perry, based on the book Precious by Sapphire by Mark Jacobs.
So sometimes when I'm watching illegal streams of American television, I'll get ads for some kind of supplement called Nugenics, which is a very bad thing to call some medicine.
It sounds really legit.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it. It's some kind of like dick. I think it's a dick pill. I'm pretty sure it's a dick pill. But yeah, I'm waiting for a team to be sponsored by Nugenics, and just just having to listen to everybody use that word, which sounds very bad the first time you hear it.
It rhymes with eugenics.
Right, and I'm thinking to myself, surely they must know that it rhymes with eugenics, right? And just,
but it's too catchy not to use. Amazing. The game will be called Basketball by Nugenics.
Sports.
Any other shout outs for us? I have the final one.
Go for it.
So, you know that Tumblr post from a couple years ago that was like, gendered bathrooms were just invented by Big Bathroom to sell more bathrooms?
Yeah.
So, you know how in America, children from the age of 5 to 18 every morning when they're at school stand up and they put their hand over their heart and they say an incantation in support of the United States?
I do.
You know that normal thing that we do?
The very regular thing.
The very regular thing of the Pledge of Allegiance. Yes. The Pledge of Allegiance, which when originated did not have under God in it, and then in 1954 they put under God in it, and now the woke left have taken under God back out of it. It was invented by a guy named Francis Bellamy.
Coincidentally, that's Bellamy is my favorite minor One Piece character.
Excellent. He was hired by Youth's Companion, which is let me look at it.
It was a kids magazine.
A kids magazine to sell U.S. flags to public schools. So they were like, every classroom needs one of these. How much fucking money do you think that made them?
Probably a lot. Oh, probably a lot.
Amazing. Let's just indoctrinate our children using chanting to sell flags. I mean, what's more American than that?
Well, I'll tell you what's more American than that. So, Francis Bellamy was a Christian socialist.
Okay.
So he is also probably one of the first people to have a real moment of regret once who never lived really, I guess because he died in the 30s. He never lived to see his Pledge of Allegiance turned into this rallying cry around against socialism and communism generally. Because, Eisenhower encouraged Congress to put the words under God in the pledge. And so, Francis Bellamy is one of the first artists to completely sell out early in order to be able to make some money. So in that respect, if you are, if you're a particularly desperate artist and you take a commission that you think may be perverted, but you also don't necessarily know, don't worry. Francis Bellamy was right there with you.
He did it first.
Shout out to artists who compromise just so that they can eat. It's
truly.
You hate to see it, but sometimes it just be that way.
You gotta.
Yeah.
It's true.
Should we get into Lightbringers?
Heck yes.
My Lightbringer this week is going to be the fact that I commissioned one of my favorite artists for a really good piece, and it came in today, and I'm very happy about it.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's pinned on my Twitter if you want to see it.
Hell yes.
It's so good.
My Lightbringer is I got back into Animal Crossing, and I'm really looking forward to cherry blossom season.
The Cranimal?
Huh?
The Cranimal?
Animal Cranimal.
Animal Cranimal.
Yes, because I missed it last time because I bought my Switch Lite too late for cherry blossoms, and I want pink trees on my island.
Beautiful. What's the name of your island?
Citrine, because we have oranges.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I Animal Crossing is not personally for me, but I love just like seeing it out there in the world. It's like it just makes me smile. So, yeah, my light bringer this week is gonna be professional wrestling.
Nice.
I mentioned it before with the Bret Hart reference, but wrestling is so good. It is the best thing that has been in my life. I've been a wrestling fan for 11 years, and like currently what I'm watching is pro wrestling from Japan. It is some of the some of the most incredibly athletic, weird, out there, but like super compelling works of art. And I've been getting specifically into Joshi wrestling, which
Joshi!
is Japanese pro wrestling, but it's all women. And
nice.
It's like some of the best and most innovative wrestling out there was like pioneered by Japanese women professional wrestlers. One in particular, one wrestler I'd like to recommend in particular is a wrestler named Maki Ito. Her gimmick is that she was an idol singer who was not very good at singing, and so she got fired, and now she is very she's a very interesting character. She's very vulgar. She keeps calling people motherfuckers. It's great. If you want something cool to watch, there's a 30-minute video on YouTube called Maki Ito, the Fired Idol. And it's a documentary about her career and about her character. And even if you are not into wrestling, I highly recommend the video because it is 110% the most interesting, compelling drama/comedy that you'll ever see.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Is that like one of those like YouTube deep dives of like the history of her? Or is it a compilation?
It's a deep dive. It's a really nice deep dive, and it's completely new user accessible.
Nice. I live for YouTube deep dives. I might just. You could link that as well if you'd like.
Yeah, for sure.
Y'all want to get out of here?
Fuck yeah.
All right. So this has been another episode of Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die. Not a threat, just a fact. You can find us on Twitter at HKIPGTD, Reddit, reddit.com/r/HKIPGTD. Thank you to Reddit user Bisexual Punch Party for moderating that for us.
Ooh.
You can find us on
Noisepace.xyz.
Noisepace.xyz, which is so graciously hosted by Matt GameCube, who we love as our co-host.
Thank you, Nintendo Matt.
Thank you to the taxpayers for the use of our intro song, Putting the Days to Bed, off of the album Cold Hearted Town. Good song. Thank you to you for listening.
Is it not Evil Men?
Did I say the medicines?
No, you said Putting the Days to Bed.
What?
You did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sarah. I have to say, you said the bad one.
I bean dadded it.
Oh, no.
Sarah's canceled. I hope you enjoyed listening to the last episode that Sarah will be on.
For the use of our intro song, Evil Men, off of the album Cold Hearted Town. Mm-hmm. It's good. We love it.
We do.
It's actually good.
I'm on. If you want to find me, I'm on Twitter at Sunhatzhenya, SUNHATZHENYA, and you can find me on all of my other podcasts, such as Fear Baiting, which is a horror movie podcast that I love to do, which is currently in the middle of March Night Shyamalan, a month-long celebration, quote unquote, of Mr. Shyamalan's works. So far we have done Signs and Lady in the Water, which are two of my not least favorite, but two of the most challenging movies that we've done for Fear Baiting in recent memory.
They're two of M. Night Shyamalan's movies ever.
They really are the movies ever. The Wonder Years, which is an Animorphs podcast that I do with my friends Blair and Seda, and Special Grade Snacks, which is my newest one that I do about Jujutsu Kaisen, the good anime, with my very good friend Kay. We're actually wrapping up there's only like 2 episodes of that podcast left this season, so get if you want to get on the ground floor, hop up.
I'm Belle Flight Cub. You can find me on Twitter at FlightCub. The second B stands for bidet. That's actually a high pressure shower, and it's really hurting my butt. You can also hear me on LMNOP about elementary, podcast that I do with my partner, and which is also in Noisepace.xyz.
Yeah. Yeah, both of all of those podcasts are so good, and then NoiseSpace.xyz is so good. My name's John. You can find me on Twitter at flourishcaster_. Give me a follow, and follow me for all of your hot wrestling recommendations.
Ooh, ooh.
Hell yeah. That's it. Yes? That's
podcast?
it?
That's
We're
podcast.
podcast.
All right.
Memento Pokemori.
Yeah, Memento Pokemori.
Memento Pokemori.
Sipping on tea, pass me a bourbon. Had to run a man down in my wellies. Now I'm on telly, Piers Morgan, Susanna Reid, I'm adoring. Big drip man's pouring. Got the big stick with the corn in. When I'm on road, I'm yawning, telling my ops good morning. I'm like Piers, cause I got more dough than female deers. And the whole gang got my name in their mouth, like those Turkish veneers. And I'm like Hackman, CNMC on the block, I'm Robin in Batman. I'm a snatcher, my new ting bad, Margaret Thatcher. And I'm stacking, caviar man snacking. I send shots via Royal Mail and I never pay for the tracking. I bleed blue, so it's the Tory party I'm backing. And the first name ain't Eden, but I'm still a hazard when attacking.